Nioh 3 comes out in just 1 week, and I got a chance to play the game ahead of time. And let me tell you, it's been an awesome and shocking experience. I played the hell out of the Nioh titles and loved their different take on a lot of the Souls-like genre that we've come to love across the years. And in this video, I want to give you my impressions of the game as I have over 30 hours in it on PC. We'll be discussing a ton about the complexities of the game, but if this is your first time on my channel, the way I do things is by upfronting the knowledge of my videos. So let me just tell you that if you've never played a Nioh title, but you've played all the From Software games, this game is definitely going to be a shock to the system. The way combat works will feel familiar, but you have to use what is called a key pulse to replenish stamina, or else you just get exhausted and stomped on. This adds a layer of complexity because you can't just spam swinging. It also gets crazier as you get further into the game, adding offensive and defensive mechanics into it. Also, the game's difficulty has a real nice curve to it. It's punishing while you learn the curve, gets easier as you master early mechanics, and then throws you right back into the fire when you move to the next area. I never felt like I was outpacing the game, which is a fine line to run. There's tons of gameplay diversity this time around. You swap seamlessly between Samurai and Ninja stance, which also dictates the cadence of gameplay. Samurai is more the typical gameplay of Nioh, with Ninja being far more fast and agile. This can be good or bad depending on your playstyle for veterans. Chances are, if you elect a specific weapon, it fits into a playstyle that matches that stance. I know the stances are a hot button topic, and I'll talk about it more in its respective section, but you can actually ignore stances entirely if you want and just play a samurai or what have you. Now, some stuff I'm not too crazy about. The music in the game is really repetitive. It's beautiful and orchestral and over the top, but then it's the same chords repeated in locations you're going to go through multiple times because you keep getting killed. That's something that has stood out to me. Also, the UI has a lot of clunk to it, which is nothing new for these titles, let alone this genre. There's a lot of power in it though, via the options with a ton of customization, but there's so many things in the game where it doesn't explain how something works or what a specific mechanic is. I've spent so much time just staring at the menu screens, making sense of how one system works or another. This is a pain point since I always like to understand what I'm doing when I'm doing it. But in closing, I'm absolutely loving the game. The evolution of the open world is amazing, and the quality of life improvements for the open world formula are really good. The challenge of mastering the combat feels more like a fighting game since you really have to learn more complex combos. They've also done a great job of taking a ton of systems and blending them together to the point that they don't feel bloated, but feel like they all exist in their own tidy space. The presentation of the game is also a blend of 1 and 2. You get a lot of the dark tones and creepy atmosphere of 1 until you clear Crucible. Then it's brighter, more scenic tones of the second game, which comes together for a great overall feel. But that's it. Too long didn't watch this entire video. If that's all you wanted to know, please feel free to shut the video down. I want to be respectful of your time. You can navigate ahead to any part of the video that interests you the most using the chapters of the timeline in the description. And if you are heading out and you found the video helpful, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. Each one of those helps me out in a huge way. You can find a link to my Twitch below where I will be streaming Nioh 3 today and all weekend. So swing by and see what the game is all about. Let's get started here on my first impressions of Nioh 3. So loading into the game, let's talk first about the difficulty, because I think this is going to be the thing that makes people bounce off initially when they jump in if they've never played a Nioh title. So when you play Bloodborne, or when you play Elden Ring, or you play Lies of P, when you play Lords of the Fallen, you attack and swing and dodge and parry, right? Those are kind of the mechanics of the game. And Nioh does that, but you have to remember, Nioh was made by Koei. They're the same people who made Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors. So the DNA of those games is mass brawler, hack and slash, spam buttons. You don't really do that here. So let me and if you're worried about spoilers, anything I'm showing you is from the very first region of the game in the very first 10 minutes of the game. So I'm not going to show you anything that's beyond that. But I'm just going to swing. If you're a veteran too, you'll see some of the creatures you know. I'm going to swing. You can see right below that little blue bar, that is called your key. And those little pulses that hang, well, that's not a pulse, but I'll say what it is. Those little blue fragment crystal things, those create this little burst around me. Well, I can just keep swinging and keep swinging and keep swinging and chain into different buttons. And I'm going to drain all my key, and then I've got that red flashing thing. So if someone hits me, I can just be pretty much insta-gibbed. And we know that that's kind of a mechanic from some of the other games. But you can replenish that at a faster rate. You can see how slow that took to replenish. So if I swing, 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 and I time it properly, I do what's called a key pulse. That key pulse replenishes the missing stamina and then replenishes what I haven't replenished even faster. So the point of the game is to kind of master your weapon cadence or your stringing cadence so that you're not completely out of key every time you do something. But you can see you can very quickly run out of it if you don't master this. And it sounds like it's an easy thing to master. You're like, no big deal, dude. But let me give you a concept of what I'm pressing. I'm pressing X to do my quick, Y to do my heavy, and then that right bumper is the button to do that pulse. So you have to swing, pulse quickly. Again, no big deal when you're just kind of doing it on your own. But if I add in the element of enemies, and those enemies, unless you're doing a heavy amount of damage to stagger them, they'll just kind of keep hitting right through it. Let me see, we'll go over here. So I have to kind of keep my key pulse or else I will run out of stamina. And this guy can really, see, I'm gonna let my, okay, I got lucky there. I killed him faster than I thought I would. If I don't really stay on top of that stamina, see right now it's in a real, like, there we go. I'm in a dangerous spot right now. They can just really mess me up. So you have to really learn to swing, pulse, do whatever you can with that, to use that pulse in a way that's not going to put you in a position that you just get nuked. This is the thing that was the biggest hurdle to me. I forgot that there was a thing for Nioh, and it was Nioh 1, it's in Nioh 2, and it is a difficult thing to master. Once you start to play the game more, this starts to get built into other mechanics. Like that's in my dodge now. So now I can just do it with dodge. I don't have to press the bumper. And it can be layered into other things. So once you get the layering portion of it, that difficulty starts to subside, and it does happen quickly. But if you don't do it, if you don't master that quickly, and it really just takes time. It just takes time of sitting down, putting some reps in, and you'll get into it. But that difficulty is really going to hit you in the face. But outside of that, what does the difficulty feel like? And, you know, there are some monsters that they just always trump me. You know, like I've played so many of these games, and even if I'm just talking about like a Dark Souls game or Elden Ring, there's certain monsters that just always get me. Like, okay, in Elden Ring, you've got those knights that appear at night. I know their attack patterns. I know how to defeat them. But for some reason, I always misjudge their attacks. It's a me problem. It's a skill issue, right? But that's present here in Nioh 3. I've played through so many different monster types, and the difficulty is still present. The danger is still present, as it should be. Your character gets stronger, you get better weapons, but those things still progressively feel like they're really going to do a catastrophic amount of damage if you're not on top of your game. And in the very beginning, I struggled because I hadn't played Nioh in a long time, so I forgot about key pulls. I forgot about how to time it, and it was frustrating the shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was playing like, oh, I was cussing. I was like, why am I even playing this game? I should stop being a YouTuber, burn my house down. You know, like I was not having a good time. But once I really put the paces in and took some time to learn the key pulse again, because it had been so long, it clicked, and I felt stronger, faster, is what I'll say. The difficulty was in my face as a real immediate, not even just a curve. It felt like a cliff, like I had to scale. Then once I got to that first plateau, I hit a curve, meaning that I felt like everything I was facing was a progressive difficulty that I really enjoyed, and it really felt like a challenge to me. And then I moved to the next area, and that difficulty spiked again. But at least this time I had an understanding of the game's mechanics, the systems that are we'll talk about in a bit here, that have been introduced to me, help me leverage advantages against those challenges, and I had just more things at my disposal. What I will say is, and we'll talk, this will be a good segue into the systems, is that the game has tons of little things. Tons of complexities. There's this, there's that, there's this, there's that. And each one of those helps you either get better or helps mitigate some of the challenge by allowing you to get bonuses or allowing you to push through those barriers. So let's now take a switch here into systems and talk about it, because there are so many and they somehow managed to do a real good job putting them together. So here we are in the hub of the game, and I won't tell any more about this because it might be a bit of a spoiler. So I'm going to go over here and pray. Pray is a big portion of this game. It's like bonfires, if you want to think of it from a Dark Souls perspective. But This is where you do a lot of things in this game, and this is true of all three of the titles, leveling up being of course one of them. But let's just go through some of the systems here, because in just this screen alone we're going to be able to go through I think like 4 of them. So you have a guardian spirit. A guardian spirit is the spirit that you empower throughout the game, and as it reaches 100 you can then use the guardian spirit. It'll transform you. You'll basically turn into like something awesome from an anime, and you'll go to town on stuff. And your guardian spirit will dictate what you look like. It'll dictate the element maybe that you take advantage of. It's called like ancient something. I can't. There's a term for what it means, like to jump into one of these, and of course my brain's not there. You can hold down this menu explanation button, and it tells you every little thing for every little system we're going to go into. So you never feel like you have to go to some sort of nested screen to get the explainer. But, and you can see all this information if you've never seen a Nioh title. That will explain in another portion too. But these individual guardian spirits then give you additional special effects when you just have them equipped. And now you also get the ability to use a skill at the very bottom here. You can see guardian spirit skill. This is a special skill that you can use without transforming all the way into the guardian spirit's capability. So you get this just kind of a cool little ability. And they're different depending on if you are a samurai or a ninja. So you can see that there's just 2 different ones here that we can take advantage of and use those instead. So that's just the guardian spirit system. Oops, go back to this. There's also the soul cores. You have this Onmyo box, and I can't pronounce that, I'm so sorry. And you find these soul cores of all the creatures that you kill, and you can use either their yang or their yin position. The yin position is going to give you some sort of beneficial talisman or something of the sort. Yang position allows you to summon that creature into the game. So these now also give you benefits to your attack, your defense, whatever water damage, auto grave recovery, all it is, whatever's in there, that's another system. You also have battles. This is a light system, but battle scroll, so I can go replay stuff. You have the co-op in the game where you can do a bunch of things there. But you can also come to skill management. So now you've got all of these active and passive skills, either for both samurai and ninja, or just samurai or just ninja. You have got your blessings that you get from either Kodama or the Jizos, and I mispronounced the shit out of that, sorry. And these are the things I was talking about, okay? Now I have elixir drop rate. Elixirs are what you would use to replenish your health. That's your typical kind of health currency that you always have in any of these games. Well, this allows me to have more of these drop ambiently in the world. Or whenever I use elixirs, I now do more damage or decrease damage against me. And these blessings here, oh, I can't look at it, but the blessings there help you to go do crucibles. Crucible is a whole nother system. So I know I'm showing you all these systems rapid fire. And if we come over here, we go over into our martial arts and ninjutsu. So we can see all of our samurai weapons, all of our ninja weapons, and then the samurai individual skills, and then the ninja individual skills, and then each one of these weapons has its own individual skills. So it seems so overwhelming as I explain it in this 3-minute 50-second segment, right? You're like, dude, are you kidding me? There's no way I'm going to be able to get into any of that. The game does a very good job of piecemealing this all out to you. You don't get this right out the gate. You get this over the span of 15 hours of gameplay. And as you go through a lot of the pivotal points, it's, hey, go to this location, talk to this person. Oh, now you learn about blacksmithing. For those that are Nioh veterans, blacksmithing is just on the other side of where I'm standing right now. And this allows you to get access to these mechanics at a rate that doesn't feel overwhelming, because showing you all this all in once, you're like, there's no way I would have the time to play this. And also, the nice thing is, once you touch these mechanics, most of them are done until you need to touch them again. An example of this would be coming back over here to the blessings. Okay, this Kodama blessing, you've got this Kodama merit at the lower right-hand corner here. This is like a currency that you use to invest into these. If you don't have any currency, you're just not going to interact with this system. Oh, I found another Kodama. I've got more currency. I come back over here and I invest into the system. But all these systems have some sort of investiture. They've got this currency here that's locked within it. Going back to the skill tree real quick here. you've got all these points that you invest. You see at the top upper right, what is that? What is it? Who's a topper right? Upper right, ninja points or samurai points. You can swap these points at any time. So there's no full buy-in. So you can basically play the game, go, I love swords right now. And then go, you know what? Swords just really aren't cutting it. I'm not really enjoying it. I'm going to switch to dual swords. And there's nothing that stops you from doing it. Same thing here too, when it comes to your status. You can respec, quote unquote, your entire stat list if you want and try a different direction. So a lot of people don't like that. They think that the lack of permanence means that, you know, there's no consequence in the game. But I think kind of to the contrary, there's so much complexity to this game. And as you start to unravel more and more of those systems, you're going to really like the fact that you're going to like the way you look. You're going to like the fact that you can just simply respec and get a better path through once you understand how important, like, okay, maybe you're going to play a strength build and you're going to focus on samurai. You're going to use axe. Well, you still need magic because magic is what unlocks those additional Nioh boxes. So you want Omnio boxes. So you want to be able to have more of those online. So maybe you wouldn't put any points into this. And now it's so many points to get one level. So there's lots of ways that you navigate these systems where they don't feel overwhelming, but a lot of ways that they really just give you so much power. And at the same time, they feel so fun to interact with in the scant moments that you do. Like I said before, once you've interacted with the system, you probably aren't going to interact with it again for a good chunk of time. So that really kind of makes the systems not feel so bogged down. Coming back to this screen, let's talk about gameplay diversity. And this is probably the hottest button topic. This is the thing that a lot of Nioh veterans don't like. In the past, you could use all these weapons on the screen. And there's two weapons that I haven't discovered yet, but I know what they are, and they're just not there yet. You can use all these weapons, no big deal. You just use them. You choose the stats that you want to choose, and those stats will then work for you to benefit those weapons, right? Just like the scaling capability of any of the Dark Souls series. Oh, I'm scaling this weapon with strength, skill, what have you. Now, everything on the left over here is samurai. Everything on the right over here is ninja. So in order to use a Kusarigama, I have to be in my ninja stance. In order to use the axe, I have to be in my samurai stance. This has been the biggest issue. People don't want to do that. They want to play one way or another. But let me just, this is going to be a little bit more relevant to those of you that are Nioh veterans. And I've tried to approach this video as if you've never played Nioh before. So I've tried to not use just terms that the game only knows, so you can at least try to follow me. So one thing that samurai have are key burst, right? So that thing that I showed, that key burst where, I think it shows on here. Nope, no, it doesn't. Okay, no, okay, cool. Key pulse, not burst. Sorry, key pulse. I've been saying burst this entire video. Key pulse is when you do that little burst here after you swing your weapon and it recovers some ki. But this also will purify the realms that fall around you and will drain your stamina. So that's something that the samurai does. And also the samurai can deflect. That's something that the samurai does. So those are two things that are unique to the samurai. But I can get those capabilities in ninjutsu. Like if I come over, I think it's over here. You get either an outright deflect or a capability to deflect using some of the skills in here. Or I have a skill where ninja, where if I evade things, I then purify things like I would if I were a samurai. So even though at first blush, you're looking at this and you go, oh crap, man. This thing is rough because I wanted to play a samurai that uses tonfas. Well, you just necessarily could just play a ninja that uses the tonfas. Yes, it's different armor and it's a slight different look and you don't use all those same mechanics, but you can still deflect with the tonfas. I can actually have it right here. Nope. Oh no, it's this one right here. Where I use this special ability and I can parry with my tonfas. So the deflecting and the parrying and the all those mechanics are actually bound into the certain weapons. For example, here, evading things is locked into the ninja, but there is it's somewhere in this location. I can't remember where 100%. There are abilities to do that as a samurai using the specific weapon. Like there you go right there. That's a certain parry. But so the complexity here, the gameplay diversity does really kind of lend itself to swapping stances. And those stances play differently. Like this is my ninja, this is samurai. And all you do is press a button. You're just one or the other. Now on the right side of the screen, you can see that little wheel. This is our stances if we're samurai. But this is my ninjutsu if I'm a ninja. Both of these will power up regardless of which stance I'm in. So if I come over here for gameplay diversity stuff and talk about like, okay, let's go attack this guy. See, I'm not like, I don't get really cool stuff for dodging. We switch over to a ninja. And we get this different, way more mobile gameplay style. I don't have the key pulse that I had in my samurai. Instead, when I do that, I leave like a little shadow of myself. And those shadows, the enemy will actually attack them. And rather than deflecting things by native, I just evade them like that. And then you can trigger around those. You can get all sorts of weapons or armor or anything that will give you, oh, you know what? If you go ahead and evade, here, there's Yokai Realm, like, oh. Then you get also that mechanic right there. That is a key burst. That's like the game has this capability called the key burst that allows you to hard parry any unparryable or attack like that when it has that big red burst. And you press right trigger. I'm not sure what it is on PC because I'm using a controller. And that's the block for it. Holding down right trigger swaps my stances. So I can play both stances at the same time super fast. And there is weapon swapping in the game. So I can then have further complexity locked into the specific stance that I choose. Now you see that thing pulsing on the right? That is martial arts gauge. You build that by just simply attacking and defending as a samurai. So ninjutsu is what we had for ninja, right? Well, I was killed that thing before I wanted to. If you use that button, then you can basically your Y button, your power, your heavy attack becomes like an empowered heavy attack. So this gameplay diversity is very fast. It's not just, okay, I'm a ninja and I have to go pray to go swap to a samurai, or I'm a samurai and I have to do something to become a ninja. Nope, it's on the fly. There are points in boss fights where I'm fighting as a samurai and I go, you know what? This demands a lot of the speed and dodging of the ninja. Oh, you know what? This needs the durability and capacity to deflect and block like the samurai. So it's not two gameplay elements that are put apart. They're gameplay elements that are combined together that work very well together. But if you want, you could just play samurai. You won't be able to access all the ninja weapons, and you could play ninja and not be able to access all the samurai weapons. But you can see right here, there's enough of an overlap. Swords and swords, dual swords, spears, switchglaives, odachi, and axes are unique versus hatchet, talons, surigama, and this is a blade pull. It's like nunchucks. Those things are unique, but like again, the base things that I think most people are going to use are these four weapons, and they overlap with each other. So if you are a veteran, I definitely think it's worth looking at more. I think it's got so much under the hood and it unlocks such a fun, fast gameplay method while also lending itself to a lot of really great benefits. And I think it rightfully so is the thing that is critiqued the most. It was the thing that I didn't really understand at first because I was like, well, why is this split into two? But then I saw like, you know what? I'm never going to play the axe the way the ninja needs to be played. And I'm never going to play the tonfa the way that the samurai needs to be played. By the way, the tonfa is so fun. You just repeatedly bash someone in with a bunch of sticks. Is so cool. The surigama was one of my favorite weapons in Nioh 1, but the playstyle to lend itself into it was not really, wasn't really conducive for the dual swords that I was using. And that's kind of true this time around as well. Like in the sense that you can see the overlap between these. Let me come over here to level up very easily. If I go to level up here, you can see right affected weapon type. So constant, I know for a fact that heart is like the #1 scaling thing for dual swords, both ninja and samurai. But I can also see from this list, well, surigama takes a little benefit from this. Okay, that's cool. I'm sorry, not surigama, the talon hands at the far right. Well, that's cool. I can scale those. Or I know that Magic is a part of the scaling for both the Surigama, which I do like, and the dual swords. Okay, well, cool. There's something that overlaps right there. Strength, I know, is for the dual swords. Skill, I know, is for the Surigama. So you can see that you can play with the relationship between both stances by just trying to invest in the respective stats that make the most sense to then get the most out of this system. So the open world portion of this game is pretty great. This is the map, and I'm not going to go through tons of it. I've hidden actually most of it, so you can't see much. And this is only one location in time, I guess you could say. And the open world is vast. Let's scroll back in over here so I can actually have some fun. And I think it's worth noting that I'm sick of open world games, guys. Every single game it's an open world, and it's such a pain in the ass to navigate through all of the objectives, to remember where you were, all these things that, like, okay, a really good example would be the Jedi games, Jedi Fallen Order and all that. You might find something that you can't access because you don't have something to get there, right? Like, oh, you don't have the grappling hook, you got to come back because it's like Zelda Ocarina of Time. And you just, because the games aren't linear, it's just an open world, but it's not linear in its open world portrayal. Kind of Ocarina of Time was a pretty linear open world. You progress through a pretty rigid track. These games now, they're just so fucking big, you don't know what the hell you're doing. What I like about this is, I'm going to turn this back on. Oops, I'm going to screw all this up and mess up my whole entire video, because clearly I'm such a great YouTuber. You too can be a YouTuber for the simple price of buying a microphone. It's like having a fucking podcast. There we go. So I can turn on all of these icons. I can hide all the icons. I can hide all the icons that I've completed and only show me the ones that I've not completed. So this gives me a lot of and I can get granular with that, right? I can change the battles, the exploration, all that action. And it's really nice to be able to do. I can also, and this is one of my favorite things, I've said that I think that open world games needed this so much. I can annotate the map using that. Sure, no big deal. But I can press icons, and I can make different colored icons of 5 separate icon types. So this gives me what, 20 permutations of different icons I can add. Okay, you know what? This is an example. I use this little icon here because I know there's something I should go and look for, but I just was in the middle of doing something over here. I slapped this over here and I know to come back to it. I didn't realize that was there, but still. Or I can say, like, you know what? This is a really good place to farm. Every time I respawn, I don't know if it is, I just put that there. Every time I respawn, there's like 50 enemies there. That's where I'm going to go spawn. I'm going to go farm. Whatever it is, or like, you know what? This is a great place for loot. I know I'm always going to go back there to loot. You know, being able to annotate the map like this is a real big open world strength. And I got to be honest, it is so nice. In the upper right-hand corner too, you'll see there's different exploration levels. So just this one location we're looking at, I can swap it and see, okay, we're on exploration level 4, but then there's all these benefits for exploring every detail of these locations. So it drives the collectibles of the open world in a very good way. Like this is another part of these like 3 locations are like the 3 starting locations that all just kind of blend together. Like this pushes you down into here, pushes you over to here type of thing. So here's the same thing. We've gotten level 4 here, and I can then track all of the collectibles. I'm missing, I'm missing 1 chest. It's probably right there. And as you get towards the max level of exploration completion, the game just helps you. It goes, cool, hey, you're at level 4. Here's like the markers on the map to finish off everything for you. So it doesn't make you fine-tooth comb when you're at 98% in a location. It just says, let's just get you out of this location as fast as possible, which is such a huge benefit. Think of when you're trying to do like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and you're gone through a location. You're like, dude, I just can't find the last like little gold locket. This just shows it here for you. Another one right here. I haven't really completed all of it. Oops. Why did I keep pressing this wrong button over here, man? There we go. Again, here we go. We've got the valuables, and then it's like that. This whole time period then has its own exploration thing to go through as well, and you can see that all the areas explore within it. So there's a lot of power in this open world, and in just this map. And I know a map is a weird thing to use to describe an open world, but it's the thing that you rely on the most. But how does that really like kind of come together for a good experience. And the open world has definitely more of an Elden Ring, more of a Zelda feel to it, where you do get to go to all these locations and do all these quests, and that is very fun and exciting. But one thing that makes Elden Ring so good is that it also has the kind of bite-sized feel of a Dark Souls game whenever you go to any of its many, many different types of little dungeons here and there, right? You either have the little ones where it's like you just jump through a crypt, you go kill a dude, and then you can summon that dude. Or you do the bigger one where it's actually like more of a more pivotal set piece for the story of the game. So you've got those moments, and that kind of gives you that, hey, this is a linear experience. I'm going to go through it, I'm going to end it, and that's going to be done. And it's going to be nice because it's going to give me whatever progression or what have you. The game has that in the form of crucibles or other little things here and there that I don't want to spoil. But you go through these crucibles, which are these basically like a combination of the world that is and like the yokai realm. And it's just filled with all sorts of crap. There's dungeon, it's like a big dungeon. And just like in like a Dark Souls dungeon, when you get to a location, you want to find like a shortcut back to a rest point. Those exist within it. So you get these nuanced approaches to a much larger map, much in the same way that you do from an Elden Ring, while also feeling very streamlined and not so intimidating to knock out all the collectibles. And those collectibles all drive some system within the game. We talked about so much stuff already in the prayer screen, but almost all those things are all within that. You get skills from doing a lot of these things. There's these little things where you shoot targets and like a ferret gives you a skill, or you chase these little rotund cats around and then the guy is going to give you a skill. And that plays into so many systems. You go run around all over the place and you find the kodamas, and that's going to play into a system that we talked about, those blessings. Or you find the 6 Jizo, I'm sorry, I'm not good at pronouncing things, and that plays into another system. So the collectibles don't feel arbitrary, they feel pointed, and that makes for an open world that feels exciting to jump into versus one where you're just kind of collecting to get percentage points up. But what is bad about this game? Because there are some things. Performance, this isn't the bad section, right? But performance feels good. They said that the performance on this version of the game is not complete. They said like the DLSS doesn't work properly, but I couldn't tell you a time I've been below 60 frames per second. And I have my stuff capped at like 120, 240 or something, and it's always bounced within one of those three. It's never jumped to a point where like, oh, it's stuttering, it doesn't look good. Keep in mind, I am playing on PC. I have a really strong, good gaming PC that I built, so your mileage may vary with that statement. I have no idea what this is going to play like on console, so I just want to be fair with that assessment and let you know again that I'm using a pre-production launch of this game, and B, on a very beastly computer. So outside of that, I mean, because performance will get brought up in comments, so I want to make sure I address it. The music gets repetitive, and that might not seem like a big gripe. In fact, it kind of feels silly to talk about. It kind of feels like a low-hanging fruit, like, dude, you're just kind of making things up. But think of like your favorite song and think of only listening to the first 10 seconds of it on repeat. It's kind of like that. Like when you think of like Elden Ring or Dark Souls or Lies of P, even the previous Nioh games, actually, the music is a strong backdrop, but it can't be so forward that it drowns out a lot of it. And it's not necessarily that the music drowns out anything. It's just that you can always hear the same stuff over and over and over and over and over. So let me give you an example of me just standing in one spot where you can just hear the same things over and over. Now, you're going to, again, say that's not too big of a deal. But once you die in a one spot multiple times because you can't get past a hard enemy or a challenging boss, you're going to hear these same things over and over. And it just kind of, it doesn't make me want to shut the game down. It just annoys me to a point where I'm like, I wish that wasn't there. You can just as easily mute the music and play your own music. It's just something I want to bring up as a pain point. And you might be thinking to yourself that that song was great, but that's a minute you just listened to. And that minute is repeated over and over throughout the Crucible. And one thing to note too is you can hear it at the end of that clip. It starts to repeat again. So that is just an example of how the audio sometimes can, although a great soundtrack, is just repeated over and over. Now, another big thing is that difficulty. I think that the difficulty is really good, but I play video games for a living and I love the Soulsborne series. So jumping into a Nioh had a big jolt to my system of trying to get back on pace with the key pulse. Key pulse is important to this game. You cannot ignore it. If you ignore it, you can't just bludgeon your way through it. You can get to a point where a lot of key pulsing feels less manual, where you get a lot of skills or a lot of unlocks on your weapons or on your samurai itself, to then make it feel like key pulse is just a part of the way that the fluidity of the character is. And you get there, actually, to be totally fair with you, very quickly. You'll get the key pulse on dodge very fast in the game. And that alone is just like a huge improvement, because you're binding two capabilities to one key. Now you can dodge, which also allows you to key pulse, and key pulse is bound to right bumper. So you push those things together. And the game works like that. It layers mechanics together. You'll be able to eventually layer together deflecting, which is left bumper, with a big massive attack and just pressing forward and Y. So rather than just pressing a different button, it's all kind of bound together based off of certain things, and it requires a skill investment. So to get there, it is a bit of a difficult road. And I think that if you can't get past that initial cliff, it's going to make you bounce off the game. There's also a lot of clunk in the UI. And this is kind of tales all this time when it comes to dealing with any kind of Nioh game. But take a look at this. You probably don't know what the hell any of it means. And to get more information, we can press this button and we can kind of go through it, and it gives us actually quite a bit. Let me see here. Increases key damage dealt by bows. If you don't know what this is talking about, this is confusing. It's talking about you don't do more key damage like you get like any kind of like special key benefit. No, key damage is basically that the key is like stamina. So you're doing stamina damage, increased stamina damage with your bow key damage. Or this is a set weapon or item. Set items are a big portion of this series. If you come over here and it says, hey, you have 1 of 7. That's it. Well, you have to hold down left trigger to press the right button, and then that is where all of the set bonuses are. Then I hold down the left trigger and press the right. Where is it? Come over here. Hold on left trigger and then press. And you can barely see it. It's right over here. I mean, you can see it once I now highlight it, and it changes once I switch from my keyboard to my mouse. I'm sorry, my controller, my mouse. But you press that button, now I can compare. Now I can see what my core stats are. There's just a lot. The game doesn't tell you to do this. It's just very kind of nested in there, and you have to figure it out. And even further too, some things in the game are like, yeah, this is just going to do X. And you're like, well, what the hell is X? And you look at it and goes, well, this is X. Well, that didn't help me at all. Menu explanation does help you. Press, to automatically select equipment, change styles. Multiple shortcuts can be set, and you can alternate between sets with right button. And that is another big thing. You can do a bunch of different sets in the game. I think it's over here, right? No, it just tell me how to do it. Yeah, I got it. Well, you can set your sets. Clearly, I can't do this instructional video on how to play the game. It's not how to play the game. It's how to not play the game. But these things are helpful here and there, but they just kind of, sometimes they fall flat. And navigating through all of it, there's this over here, then there's this over here, then there's this over here. For customizing all that, there's just so much in this UI that you have to navigate through, because like I said, there's a million systems. So this is part of the complexity of the game, and the complexity too, I think, is a bit of an inertia point, but it's also kind of like, it's like the difference of playing like an action RPG and playing Path of Exile. Path of Exile's, it's the differentiating factor is its complexity. It's the same thing here with Nioh. So If you're a veteran, you're going to know what you're getting into. If you're not, you're going to, holy crap, there's a lot to jump into. It is all piecemealed, like I said, but it is something that's definitely worth noting. The UI has clunk to it, and there's so much complexity that the UI doesn't help that complexity. So I want to bring that up as a definite pain point of the game. So with all that being said, what are my thoughts? They're very positive. Like, I'm having such a great time jumping back into the game. You know, maybe it's because I didn't play Nioh 2 for that long. I think I had like 5 hours in Nioh 2. Nioh 1, I put so many hours into. And there's a lot of cool conventions from Nioh 2 that are in this game, like the blue grave system. So blue graves means you can summon like people, like the gold system in Elden Ring, right? You can have someone come in and help you. The revenant system is in this game, and it's so different. So different. Not even really. It's the same system of you summon a revenant, and for those that are new, revenants means that you summon up someone who died at a location. You can summon that person and fight them. And once you kill them, you can get whatever they had as loot. Not all of it, portions of it. And this allows you to just kind of, it's a cool way to like farm equipment. But every time you kill one of those revenants, it empowers a blood edge demon somewhere on the map. It's in a different location. It doesn't matter where it is. It's an optional boss, but the more you put off attacking that blood edge demon, the stronger and stronger and stronger it gets. So you can go through revenants, kill them all, and get all their equipment and just power up that way. But then you get really strong blood edge demons, and you can go fight the blood edge demon, and it can give you even rarer items, and it gives you a chance at all the items of anyone who dies trying to fight it. So it's really cool. And it doesn't steal those items from players if you're new to this series. It just, that's what I was wearing when I died. So that's what allows you to loot. So it's a really cool system. But the aesthetic of the game too matches Nioh 1 until you clear a crucible. Then it switches over to what a Nioh 2 is. What you saw, a lot of what you're going to do when you jump into the game for the first time, where I was, will look very dark and creepy and dank. Then once you clear out the crucible, which is kind of like an overarching bad guy for that map portion of the map, it becomes light and scenic. So there are a lot of really great feels to this game. I love how you kind of traverse through combat this time around. I think the stance system was something I really didn't enjoy when I read about it. And I was wondering how I would really jump into the game, knowing that I enjoyed the dual swords in the Kusarigama. But I was surprised to see how much I've actually played Samurai. Contrast to that, my good friend Fervor Gaming, please go check him out. He's like, I've not touched Samurai at all. Or I'm sorry, Ninja at all. I've only been playing Samurai. I just play with the axe because I just want to face tank things. And that's what the Samurai can do. Ninja, not so much. Not so much. It's not built around that. It can't deflect really. You need to get the specific skills that allow it to deflect, and its armor natively is much lower. So you have a different play style. So I think it's cool that it does play to both. It's a little weird to split the audience on it, I think. But I was surprised at how fluid and strong it felt to swap from stance to stance. Overall too, it's one of my favorite like time periods. Well, there's more to that. Nioh 2 or Nioh 3 borrows heavily from Nioh 2's time jumping stuff, whereas Nioh 1 really didn't have that as much. And there is a catch up for both of those games in the in this game. Nioh 3 has like a little scroll you read, oh, here's the story of Nioh 1 and here's the story of Nioh 2, and it's like a total 3-minute read. You do that, you're caught up on at least the poignant parts of the game, so you understand what's going on. But the game feels great. You know, I was looking to get back into a Soulsborne title, some sort of game like this, and specifically Nioh, because I had bought the Nioh 2 Master Collection, and this is just such a strong step. I love the open world. I love the quality of life of the open world. I love, because Nioh 1 was very rigid. It was a level, and you had collectibles, and if you missed those collectibles, you had to go through the whole level. If I missed a collectible now, I just go back to the location and I go find it. It's a lot more streamlined of a process, and I enjoy the feel of the world as a whole. I enjoyed the interactions between the characters. I've really enjoyed leveling up the weapons and their familiarity and learning new systems. Every time I'm like, cool, I've learned all those systems. Game's like, but here's 2 more. I'm like, oh god, it's like an infomercial. So if you've never played a Nioh title, this is going to be unique for you. And I have a video coming out after this that will kind of go through more of the complexity of a Nioh title versus a standard From Software kind of Soulsborne title, and give you a more of a compare and contrast. But if you're brand new, this is the best point to jump in. If you're a veteran, I understand being hesitant towards the stance system, but I think it definitely warrants your attention because it is a very fun and interesting and new take on the game. But having a great time, excited to kind of give a full review of it once I've doubled the time I've put into it over the next week. If you have any questions about stuff that I didn't bring up, just let me know in the comment section below. I don't have an embargo on anything I can't talk about. I just can't show you beyond the first like act boss, and I'm not even there anyway, so it's fine with me. So ask away. I'll be putting out video guides once we get closer to the launch, because it's not going to make why would I give you the getting started best tips if we're a week away, right? So go ahead and let me know in the comment section below if you have any other questions. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.